notice how your breath changes depending on what you're doing? Like when you're running, you take short, quick breaths, but during yoga, it's all deep and slow.
Right.
Well, what if I told you your breathing might be secretly messing with your vision too?
Now, that's a fascinating thought.
It is.
And there's actually some new research to back that up.
Really?
Yeah, a team from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden.
Oh, wow.
They've been studying this connection between breathing and pupil size. And
Okay.
it's pretty groundbreaking stuff.
So before we get into the details, let's make sure we're all on the same page.
Okay.
Our pupils control how much light enters our eyes.
Correctly.
Kind of like the aperture on a camera lens, adjusting to make sure we see clearly.
Yeah, and for a long time, scientists thought there were only 3 things that affected pupil size.
Huh.
Light levels,
Okay.
focusing distance, and then cognitive factors,
Like what?
like emotions or mental effort.
Okay, that makes sense. But this new study throws a curveball into the mix, doesn't it?
It does.
They found a 4th factor
Uh-huh.
that affects pupil size.
Yeah.
Breathing.
Breathing, they did indeed.
Wow.
What they discovered is that our pupils are actually at their smallest right when we start to inhale.
Oh, interesting.
And then they expand to their largest size during exhalation.
So it's a constant back and forth.
It's a constant cyclical process that's happening all the time, whether we're aware of it or not.
So it's not like our pupils are just randomly changing size.
No.
There's a clear pattern
There's a path
tied to our breath.
tied to our breath.
That's wild.
It is pretty wild.
What's even more surprising is that this happens regardless of whether you breathe fast or slow,
Right.
through your nose or mouth.
Exactly. And that's what makes this finding so unique.
Oh, how so?
Well, it's not triggered by an external stimulus.
Oh, okay.
Like changes in light or focus.
I see.
It seems to be an intrinsic connection between these 2 basic physiological processes, breathing and vision.
It makes you wonder how they even stumbled upon this connection.
I know.
So they saw this consistent pattern in the lab.
Right.
But how did they make sure it wasn't just a fluke?
Well, they were incredibly thorough
Go.
to really nail down this link. They conducted 5 separate experiments with over 200 participants.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, and they tested people breathing at different rates through their nose or mouth in different lighting conditions, and even while they were doing visual tasks.
Really?
And no matter what, they kept seeing the same pattern.
That's some seriously impressive research.
It is impressive research.
Okay, so we know the pattern exists.
Yeah.
But how big are these pupil size changes?
That's a great question.
Yeah. Are we talking noticeable differences or tiny fluctuations that wouldn't really affect our vision?
That's something the researchers are still investigating. However, based on the magnitude of the changes they observed, it's definitely possible that these pupil fluctuations could have a real impact on how we see things.
So let me get this straight.
Sure.
Our pupils are constantly adjusting in sync with our breath.
Right.
And these adjustments could actually be changing how we see the world around us all without us even realizing it.
It's possible.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
It really does highlight how our bodies are constantly working behind the scenes
Right.
to optimize our senses and keep us functioning at our best.
Yeah, and this research could be just the tip of the iceberg. Right?
Yeah.
If our breath is affecting our vision,
It's true.
what other connections might we be overlooking?
It's so exciting, this kind of discovery.
Yeah.
It opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
Oh, no.
If breathing can influence our sight,
Yeah.
could our heart rate affect our hearing?
Wow.
Or our digestion impact our sense of touch?
That's crazy.
There's so much we still don't know about how the different systems in our body interact. It's amazing to think about.
It's amazing.
All the hidden connections
Yeah.
that might be influencing our perceptions and experiences every day.
Mm-hmm.
But getting back to the research,
Okay.
one thing that really stood out to me was the fact that this pupil breathing connection
Uh-huh.
exists even in people who were born without an olfactory bulb.
Oh, wow.
The part of the brain that processes smells.
Right. That finding really surprised the researchers.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It suggests that the mechanism behind this connection isn't reliant on our sense of smell at all.
So if smell isn't involved,
Yeah.
what is driving this connection between breathing and pupil size?
That's where things get even more interesting.
Yeah.
The fact that this connection persists even without the olfactory bulb points to the brainstem as the likely control center.
What's the brainstem?
So the brainstem is a very primitive part of the brain responsible for essential functions like regulating our heartbeat, breathing, and sleep cycles.
So we're talking about a really fundamental,
Yes, very fundamental.
deeply ingrained connection here, something that's probably been with us throughout our evolutionary history.
Exactly. And the researchers believe this connection could be an ancient survival mechanism.
Really?
Yeah, helping our ancestors quickly adapt their vision to different situations.
Okay. I'm listening.
Think about it.
Okay.
When you inhale deeply,
Mm-hmm.
your body is preparing for action,
Okay.
maybe to fight or flee.
Right.
Constricting the pupils at that moment could help you see details more sharply,
Okay.
giving you an advantage in a threatening situation.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then when you exhale and relax,
Mm-hmm.
your pupils dilate,
Okay.
allowing you to take in a wider field of view
You're right.
and assess your surroundings more broadly.
So it's like our bodies have this built-in system for constantly fine-tuning our vision
Right.
based on our breath
Yeah.
without us even having to think about it.
It's incredibly efficient, isn't it? And it highlights just how interconnected our bodies are.
Yeah.
We tend to think of our senses as separate systems,
Hmm.
but this research shows that they're all working together in ways we're only beginning to understand.
Absolutely. This study really underscores the idea that there's so much more to our bodies than meets the eye.
Literally.
Literally.
Yeah.
So what are the researchers planning to do next?
Well,
Now that they've established this connection, where do they go from here?
Well, the big question now is how these pupil size changes actually impact vision.
Okay.
They've observed the correlation,
Right.
but they need to delve deeper
And it
into
could
the
be-
functional consequences.
I imagine that's going to be quite the challenge,
Right.
trying to isolate these specific effects of pupil changes, driven by breathing from all the other factors that influence our vision.
It certainly won't be easy, but it's a crucial next step.
Okay.
Fortunately, they've already got some intriguing leads from previous research. Studies have shown that smaller pupils enhance detail vision, while larger pupils are better for detecting faint objects and peripheral movement.
So building on that knowledge,
Yeah.
they could design experiments
Exact.
to test how breathing patterns might enhance or hinder those specific aspects of vision.
Exactly. For instance, they could have participants perform detail-oriented tasks,
Right.
like reading fine print or identifying subtle differences in images while manipulating their breathing patterns.
Okay.
They could also look at how different breathing exercises might impact our ability to detect faint objects in low-light conditions.
That's fascinating. I'm really curious to see what they uncover
You do.
as they continue to explore this connection.
Yeah,
Do you think there are any practical applications for this research
absolutely.
beyond just understanding how our bodies work?
This discovery could have a significant impact on several fields,
Like,
particularly medicine.
in what way?
For example, pupil dysfunction is an early symptom of certain neurological disorders, like Parkinson's disease.
So by studying someone's pupil responses as they breathe, doctors might be able to detect these diseases earlier.
That's the hope.
That would be incredible.
Early diagnosis is so crucial for effective treatment.
Yeah.
So this research could potentially lead to new diagnostic tools
Okay.
that are more sensitive and less invasive.
It's amazing to think that something as simple as observing someone's pupils as they breathe
Right.
could provide such valuable insights into their neurological health.
It is amazing.
Are there any other potential applications they're looking into?
Definitely.
That will...
They're also exploring how this research could be used to develop new therapies or interventions.
Interesting.
For instance, if we can learn to consciously control our breathing patterns to influence pupil size,
Okay.
could we potentially enhance certain aspects of vision?
So instead of reaching for reading glasses,
Yeah.
maybe we could just do some targeted breathing exercises to sharpen our focus.
It's an intriguing possibility.
That would be incredible.
Of course, more research is needed to determine if that's actually feasible.
Right.
But it's definitely worth exploring.
Yeah.
It really opens up a whole new dimension
So,
to the mind-body connection and how we can potentially harness our own physiology to improve our well-being.
this whole idea that our breath is constantly shaping our visual perception without us even realizing it is just mind-blowing to me.
It really is remarkable, isn't it?
It is.
It makes you wonder what other subtle ways our bodily functions might be influencing our senses and experiences.
Yeah.
We often take our bodies for granted, but there's so much complexity and interconnectedness that we're only beginning to grasp.
It's a good reminder to pay attention to those subtle signals our bodies are sending us all the time.
It is.
This research has definitely inspired me to be more mindful of my breath and how it might be affecting not only my physical state, but also how I see the world around me.
I think that's a great takeaway from this deep dive.
Yeah.
We often think of breathing as just this automatic process, but it's clearly so much more than that.
It is.
It's intimately connected to our vision,
Yeah.
our brainstem, and possibly even our evolution as a species.
It's like we have this built-in superpower
Exactly.
that we've been carrying around with us all along, just waiting to be discovered.
So the next time you take a deep breath,
Okay.
pay attention to what you see.
All right.
You might be surprised by the subtle shifts in your perception, and you'll have a newfound appreciation for the incredible power of your own breath.
This has been an absolutely fascinating deep dive.
It has.
It's amazing how a single study can completely change our understanding of something as fundamental as breathing.
It's been a pleasure exploring these groundbreaking findings with you.
Likewise.
Who knows what other incredible discoveries are waiting to be uncovered as we continue to explore the intricate workings of our own bodies.
Well, that's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.